Hello, dear folks, dear Angelinos, and dear fellow Californians. Welcome to the show. My name is Jack Chow. The show is East West, and with the G&E TV, I feel lots of proud doing this show. Not only do I have the chance to see all those dignitaries, but it's the chance to touch some valuable, probably the most valuable subjects. Right? One of the subjects has been that California, our legal system is getting south. It's going south, down south, almost like a free fall. We notice that, but it is not that everybody noticed the same thing. On the other hand, if you do not understand what you're doing, better check this show, understand what you're doing, before we ourselves suck up California. We probably have better options, right? That said, I have to make a huge introduction of my guest today. First, I'd like to start with lady first. Marianne Maloney. She is a good friend of mine. We go back at least the other day, I checked about calendar, 8 years. When she started getting involved within a non-profit organization called the CALA, California Citizen Against Law Abuse.
Yes.
Right? And she is still very active. She is a regional manager director of that organization, trying to protect California legal system by cutting down those loopholes, by cutting up, by trying to find out, then trying to stop the leaking of our money, and namely trying to protect the legal system for better functions. And next to her is my good friend, I would say one of the best friends I've ever. For that, I have a little story to tell. I know him not as much as 80 years, but 3 years something?
3 years, but we packed 80 years of good times into those.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. And you know, it was so amazing. I first met him at a City Hall meeting when he was one of the keynote speakers. About 3 minutes into the speech himself, I decided that I needed this guy for a friend. And then I chased him out of the chamber room, and I was caught by somebody else asking for one of business card of mine. So when I finished, he was gone. So that was our first date, right? And Peter Choi, president of Chamber of Commerce of the city of Temple City. So his involvement in the same issue of Kayla makes me feel more kind of like supported sitting here talking about the subject. It's a big subject. I would like to officially give you both the warmest welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Jack, and thank you so much for giving us this time and opportunity to discuss an issue that's really important, not just for the small business community, but for the people that live in the community, and that's something we'll get into.
All right. And I understand that you too are preparing for a trip to Sacramento, to the capital, called A Day at the Capitol.
Yes.
Right. So, Marianne, you want to brief our audiences about this event, please?
It's our 5th annual trip to Sacramento, and it's a very important opportunity when small businesses from across the state come up to Sacramento to share their story with an unwarranted lawsuit with their area legislature. And we're so happy that Peter is coming to represent the people from the San Gabriel Valley. He will be talking to the legislators here because the impact of lawsuit abuse has been very bad, not only with abusive ADA lawsuits and Prop 65, but it goes way back to when businesses were sued under the Trevor Law Group and others. So the problem is, like Peter says, in the community, and it's very real here in the San Gabriel Valley.
Sure, all right.
And what's really great about what Marianne and these organizations are doing, Californians Against Lawsuit Abuse, Civil Justice Association of California, is that for small independent businesses, they're not like Walmart or Target. they don't have the big money, the deep pockets, and big campaign contributions to be heard.
You're right.
And for many small businesses, the example I would use is you're like a finger, and you don't have a lot of power. But what they afford at these kind of events for the 5th straight year is to allow these individual fingers to form a fist and to make a statement and be heard by the legislators who can pass legislation to help them.
Concept. That's a very, very good consideration. For that, they can ban you anyway if they want. And for that, probably no. That's a different story, though. But, you know, it only gets stronger. The organization or the theme only gets stronger with the people, more and more people's involvement, such as his involvement. He is not getting involved himself. He is involved on behalf of Chamber of Commerce of Temple City. You have more than, like, say, 100+ members, right?
Right. We have 900 businesses in Temple City alone. We have 250 of them find value in membership in our chamber.
More than what I
But
thought.
it's beyond Temple City. It's really across the San Gabriel Valley, across the 626, but also across the state of California. I believe that there will be people coming from all over, not just from the 626, but across the state of California, because this is an issue that hits many small businesses, but especially those who are most vulnerable, which tend to be first-generation business owners who have just arrived in this country, embracing the American dream, and yet find themselves victimized by unscrupulous individuals who use loopholes in the legal system to extort money from them. And it's extortion.
Yeah, and it works.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, sure. Unfortunately, it works. Marianne, I would say, of course, even though it's been a call for past 8 years, or this trip itself has been a call for the past 5 years, though, I would say majority of my audience do not even know what we're talking about. To bring the impact to our audience's eye, though, would that be possible that you give us a little background about how California economy, how California legal system or justice system is being heard, that's being abused at the very moment as we talk about. And as a result, like Peter exactly mentioned, those small businesses, they're not Walmart, they're not Kmart, they're not as big as that. They're not even close. They're a small one who cannot stand the impact, so they surrender. The more they surrender, well, the more south we go. So a little kind of background information about our dear poor California, please.
Well, although our small business owners are not the big companies, they still create 85% of the jobs here in California. So they are a vibrant community that makes a lot of jobs and really stimulates California's economy. However, California continues to be dead last, the worst state to do business in all of the states in the United States. And one of the reasons is because of the legal system that's just stacked against our small business owners. People go and they find, like Peter said, the loopholes in the law that make it easy for them to sue business at their own personal gain. The abuse of the Americans with Disabilities Act is an example that has been highlighted quite a bit recently because it is just out of control. Some of these people who abuse the system, they call them vexatious litigants because they are suing 200 cases in one day. I think you and I decided once we could go up and down the San Bernardino Boulevard here.
Just driving for food. That's it.
Yeah, and we could find, you know, who doesn't have the right doorknob and all this kind of stuff and file a lawsuit and probably make a lot more money than we ever had in our life. However, that's not right. It's not right to put somebody out there who has created a business, watching a business, growing their business, creating jobs and growing jobs, to expect to have to know all the federal rules and all the state rules and all the regulations under the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Sure.
And even though there's been reforms over the past few years, the reforms have never offered business the opportunity to know exactly what they have to do. However, they're still being sued for not having the right doorknob or the right sign for up to $4,000 per issue of technical noncompliance.
Per finding.
Per finding.
Yeah, per finding. Peter, I probably should ask you, I know that you do not get involved yourself in anything that you do not see a value. So what value do you see in this issue that you so bravely get involved?
Well, I don't think it's bravery. I think it's just fairness and justice.
Okay.
You know, and I think that's what you're referring to. He knows me
term.
well. When I see injustice, I have to speak up. What Marianne is talking about is this, for the folks at home who are listening who may not understand how it works, is that there are laws to allow disabled folks, people who are blind, people who have infirmities, people who are in a wheelchair, to allow them access into a business
Which
so
I
they can
support.
shop just like you and me. And that's understandable.
Sure.
And we have seen that. You've gone into a restroom, a public restroom, you've seen the disabled restroom with the handlebar to allow them to use the restroom. Of course we want that, because those are our family members. It's
Yeah,
our
you're
grandmother.
right, you're
It's
right.
our wounded nephew. It's those people. We want them access. And I tell the business owners, we want every dollar to come in. Of course we welcome everybody in, whether they walk in or roll in. But the problem is this. If you're not up to code, if you are not code compliant, you can be sued under these laws. So if your handlebar by the toilet is 1 inch too low, then you can be sued.
Yeah.
And the judge and juries do not have the wherewithal to allow you to say it's common sense, it can be used. If it's just off, you can be sued. And what's happening is rather unscrupulous types are coming in and targeting businesses. They will literally walk a block and look around.
Finding
If the blue
faults.
sign in the parking lot that says disabled parking
Or
is
it's
not
no
the
longer
right
blue,
height,
or it's not blue enough.
if it's off by an inch, they will sue. And they will sue for a couple of $1,000s, 5 or 10. The small business owner does not have the opportunity to say, gosh, I did not know that, let me fix it. Because they all want to fix it. Every business owner I have spoken to says, I did not realize it was off by an inch, or that I needed to even have this code compliant in my business. I'm in, I want to do it, I want to do things correctly. But they are sued. And rather than go to court, pay the attorney's fees for both sides, they just settle. And this kind of extortion happens repeatedly. That's what tomorrow's event is about.
Simply because they do not have the time, neither do they have the money, right? So, my dear audience, I'm so glad today is one of the very, very valuable moment that we get a chance to try to diagnose the problem, to take care of our own California. I call it beautiful, poor, unfortunate, lovely California. So, let's take a short moment now. When we come back, we'll continue finding the problem being such, how are we going to take care of that? So, and talking about the trip, one day at Capitol, probably, hopefully, we'll see something. So let's wait, we'll come back.